Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Rosansky, President and CEO of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to our webinar this month. We got a great program on how to use your LinkedIn to more effectively market your business. Our speaker today is actually one of our newer members, and he's volunteered to share with you his knowledge of about LinkedIn and maybe even a little bit more than that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So if you give me a second here, I'm gonna stop my screen from being so full and get back into his bio here. There we go. So we'll launch right into it. I will say though, before I introduce him, Daniel's got a presentation he'll make. If you have any questions as we move along, why don't you type them into the Q&A box? So this way I'll be monitoring that, and we can either try and ask the questions as we go along, if that's appropriate, or we will wait until the end and he'll try and answer as many of your questions as we possibly can. So with that being said, Daniel DeCastelain is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and an activist. He earned his degree in clinical psychology and social behavior from the University of California, Irvine, which is a great school, one that my son graduated from as well. And he later moved into the corporate realm. Exposure to the corporate world made Daniel want to start his own company, and he did so by addressing some of the biggest problems that traditional corporations struggle with. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about that. His company name is DeCastelain, or DeCastelain, I keep mispronouncing that, I think, Creative. And it's a next generational multi-industry alignment of forces within digital broadcasting, consumer media and lifestyle, technology, policy, and consumer advancement, all under one roof. Their unique culture and approach come from uniting a group of exceptionally talented and committed, diverse and hardworking individuals. And Daniel has worked with a multitude of organizations, including UNICEF, Amex, Starbucks, and now the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce as well. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Daniel, and I'll just mute myself. And if I do pop in, it'll be to answer a question that shows up in the Q&A box. Don't put them in the chat box. Put them in the Q&A box. All right, you ready, Daniel?
I'm ready. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, there we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you so much for having me, Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Pam. And especially I want to thank Annette Malinowski. She is our CRO, and she's the person who got me into this in the very first place. So I want to thank Annette for that as well. This presentation, we're going to learn about different digital platforms, especially LinkedIn, and then we're going to later go into LinkedIn Sales Navigator. What I want you guys to learn and take away from this meeting is how you can use the tools you have at your fingertips to really benefit your business. Business is changing every day. Methods that worked 20 years ago might not work today, and that's why we have to keep updating ourselves and we have to keep updating our approach. I have a very foundational approach to this. So we're going to start from the very basics, from the foundation, and then we're going to go and get advanced into it. There's a lot to discuss. I'm just going to touch them on the surface, and based on your responses and based on how you guys receive this, we can definitely do future meetings as well. So throughout the meeting, as Steve mentioned, definitely make sure that you ask your questions. I want you guys to ask your questions, and I want you guys to participate as much as possible. With that, let's go actually into the meeting. Today, we're going to be talking about using technology for business development. To give you a little background, this is the goals that we have today. We're going to talk about why to use technology for business development, our goals, different methods, different approaches, why LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about setting up your LinkedIn and using Sales Navigator. So part of this is going to be presentation, and part of it is going to be live demonstration. Again, I'm going to go not too much into detail, and I'm going to go pretty fast. That's why I want to save some time for you guys to ask questions. So again, feel free to ask your questions anytime. To give you a little background, and Steve actually covered this, my name is Daniel DeCastelain. I'm the CEO of DeCastelain Creative. I studied clinical psychology and social ecology or social behavior at University of California, Irvine. I actually recently graduated from Copenhagen University Business School, and I studied consumer neuroscience and neuromarketing. So I have a fellowship from them. And basically, to give you a little personal stuff, I have 2 cats. I live in Newport Beach, And I absolutely love being in Newport. Our company is located in Tustin. We have an amazing team of consultants and experts that can help out with marketing needs. And our approach is very, again, I come from that clinical background, so extremely data driven, and we're going to look at consumer behavior. So everything that we're talking about today is really going to tie into who is your audience. So let's go into it. Let's actually take a look at that and go from here. So number one, why digital solutions are important. A lot of businesses, they come to me and they say, well, we were doing fine before the pandemic hit, now everything's opening back up. We are doing fine. I understand that. I understand that sometimes we're doing fine and we don't see why we should do more. The reality is our world is changing. After 2020, especially, we're not going to be doing fine. So the steps that we're taking are preventative steps so our business wouldn't go down. If we keep doing the same things as we used to do and we were successful, we are not going to see the same success in the upcoming years because our societies are changing, our consumers are changing. Obviously, COVID-19 affected all of us. It affected our businesses. It affected the way we communicate. Now we use Zoom. Before, we rarely used Zoom. And now Zoom is just a part of our lives. If we want to see our grandparents, we might actually have a Zoom meeting with them. So everything is changing. And of course, business is changing. Some experts believe that the change that was set in 2019, that the change that was supposed to happen in 10 years happened in 1 year because of 2020. So everything changed rapidly. You know, in psychology, we say that for a experiment to be valid, we need that experiment to, when you repeat it, get the same results. Now we're actually coming at a time that experiments are not giving us the same results because the society has changed so much. So this is definitely undefined territory. This is something that we don't know as much as we would like about it. That's why it's very trial and error, and we always have to do A/B testing. So the best way to do this and the best way to adapt, and we learned through the pandemic, businesses that were able to adapt, now they're flourishing, they're doing good, and businesses that were unable to adapt, businesses that were unable to come online, get digital, and basically deliver to the modern consumer did not survive. So the most important thing is adaptability, and I want you guys to keep that in mind. So now that we know we have to change online, we have to actually add different facets to our business that before we didn't use, such as a digital facet. That's why we are going to look at LinkedIn, social media, and different platforms that we can develop and extend and expand our business, let's say. Any questions so far? Okay, great. I don't see anything in my Q&A box, but I trust Steve will tell me.
Yeah,
if there are
nothing
any
so
questions.
far. Nothing.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Awesome. So there is a saturated world out there. Every business now has a website. Hopefully every business has a website because that's extremely important. But the way to succeed, it doesn't matter if it's online, digital, or actually in person, are these three important steps. Number one, define your brand. I like to call these the magical 3 Ws. What do you do? What do you sell? What is your product? Who do you sell to? And for the consumer, who are you? And why do you do it? There are 200 businesses out there that do the exact same thing as you do. Why should I buy from you? And this is where the element of storytelling comes in. Now, you might ask yourself, well, what does this have to do with LinkedIn? Trust me, you're going to see all of this is going to tie into another, and you guys are going to see how these are all important elements. Number two, define your goals. What are you hoping to achieve? And then what are the resources you have to actually help you achieve those goals? That's extremely important, and we're going to go further into it. And number three, which is the most important one, who is your audience? You have to understand your audience, and I'm actually going to go into that as well. So define your brand. It's extremely important that your brand is defined. Humans are inherently selfish. They can all sit down with you and have the pleasure of talking to you for 30 minutes, for an hour, and really understand why did you start your company, what are you doing, and what are the services you're offering. But most people, most of your audience, well, number one, doesn't have the chance to do that. Number two, doesn't want to take the time to do that. So it's extremely important that we are defined on our website or on whatever platform so people would know who you are, what are we doing, and why are we doing this? And at the end of the day, how are you going to help them? Now, this is extremely important in selling. If you're pitching someone, instead of starting with, this is who I am, first tell them how can you help them. We call this a value proposition. People want to understand what is it that you can do for them? Why do I need to give you 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, even 30 seconds of my time? What are you going to add to me? And I know that sounds harsh, but that is the reality of it at the end of the day. Research actually suggests that people go on websites and they spend about 3 seconds on the first page of the website, depending on how good or bad the website is and how visually pleasing it is. Once they decide this is visually pleasing, they spend another 13 seconds to read everything about the client, about your business. And after that, they're going to click out if they don't get hooked. So I know it's hard because these businesses, our businesses are our babies. We have so many reasons to build the businesses. We can tell stories about our business for hours and hours. So how do we condense that into 2 to 3 sentences? How do we say about, mission, and vision? So that's extremely important. And I want you guys to really think about that going forward because that is key. And again, how we can define our business, how we can talk about what we do and why we do it is really ties into our audience. Our businesses are, as much as they're ours, it's important that our audience feels an affinity with too, and our audience can relate to. Just because I like the color purple doesn't mean that my brand should be purple. My question now should be, what is, so again, it has a visual sense to it when we talk about brands, and then we have a contextual sense to it. What are the texts that we're using? What language are we using? If we want to sell to a younger audience, our language should be pretty casual. The younger generation doesn't like fluff. If we want to sell to an older audience, we have to actually be more formal. We have to put in words or sometimes even filler words in there to make them feel good. But the younger audience, they just want, give it to me. Give me bullet points, and that's good. So from both visual aspect and from a contextual aspect, it's extremely important to understand who our audience is and deliver to our audience. Great. This is one of the most important things, and you're not going to learn about this in any branding class or any class. Define your goals. This is more of a personal steps that we have to take. What is the goal that you want to achieve? Because sometimes clients come to us and they say, I want social media. The question I have is, okay, I hear you want social media. What is your goal? Well, I want to sell more products. Okay, I understand. So you want to sell more products. They think to sell more products, they would need social media. And then I ask them, so what are your resources? Well, right now I'm struggling. I really need to get out there, and I have about $1,000. So at that point, I'm not going to come and focus on social media. I'm going to say, okay, so let's actually do advertisement. Social media is very general. So we have to understand these different platforms and these different terms and what is it that we need to do to achieve what we're looking for. So if you want to sell products and you have limited resources, focus, again, we have to phase it out. We have to look at different steps. So maybe you should actually focus on advertising, because advertisement allows us to target your audience based on their behavior, their demographics, their income, and get it directly into the hands of those audiences. Really show that product to them. Versus social media, it's more general. So these are some of the important steps that we have to, the questions that we have to ask ourselves. So what is our goal? And then what does that goal mean to me? So a person comes and says, hey, I want to have a better brand. I want my brand to look better. Perfect, sounds good. What is that going to achieve for you and your business? Because sometimes there's discrepancies too. I want to have more followers. That's great, we can definitely get you more followers, but what does that going to achieve for your business? So think about a B2B brand, someone who's selling medical devices, and they want to have a beautiful Instagram. By all means, that is definitely possible, but what is Instagram going to do for a medical device business? So these are some important questions that we have to ask ourselves before putting our resources and time into different avenues. And a lot of times, companies don't tell you that. A lot of times, whatever you tell them, they're like, totally, we can take care of it. But just be aware so you know how to spend your time and resources. And perfect. And I do see a question coming in. We're going to get to that. Great. So now that we're over this step, let's actually talk about your target audience. This is one of the most important things. And as we talk about LinkedIn, this is going to be extremely important, especially in LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Define your target audience. Know who you're selling to. Take the time, couple hours, look at the data that you have. What are the demographics? So we actually like to define our target audience in 4 different sections. Demographics. What is their age, gender, education, marital status? So, and if you don't have this data, number one, you can just look at your past clients and you can actually extract this data. If you don't have that data, you can actually define someone that you think is going to buy your products, and then you can A/B test it. And you should also have, what is your buyer's persona? Your buyer's persona is basically all of these different segmentations in one page. And that way you know where to put your money, your resources, and who to target to. Psychographics, this means their values, beliefs, interests. So basically, we call something called the sources of the sources that are affecting them the most. So the sources of influence. What are some channels that are going to influence them? Let's say we're trying to target a gentleman in his 50s, and this gentleman has to have an income of over 100K per year. I'm not going to go on TikTok and I'm not going to go on Instagram looking for this gentleman. I'm going to look on LinkedIn. So that's why these are important things, because it helps you to what channels you need to actually be on and what channels you need to digress into. And of course, geographics, which is extremely important, especially for local business. What neighborhoods, what zip codes, and that's the beauty of social media. We can target our audience based on all of these segmentations that you guys are seeing. Again, this is a whole topic in itself, and this can be another lecture in itself. So we're just going to move on, but that's important to have it in the back of your minds. Okay. So what are the different platforms and how they can help? Of course, we have the social media platforms that everyone has heard of. You guys are probably on them. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Now, a question I get a lot of the times is, isn't TikTok like 12-year-olds just dancing in front of the camera? Yes, that used to be TikTok, but actually after the 2020 pandemic, TikTok's audience has completely changed. Now businesses are getting on TikTok, and it's a great way to get out there because it's not as saturated as all the other media channels. Again, that in itself is a whole nother lecture, so we're not going to go into it, but think about innovative new ways that you can get out there. If a platform is new, that means an opportunity. That means that there are not as many realtors or business owners or whatever your profession is. There are not as many of those people on that platform, so use it to your advantage. Don't be afraid to get out there. Then we have professional channels. We have LinkedIn and other industry-specific channels. For real estate, for example, someone might say Zillow is a good one, or all the other apps that are out there. Your website, obviously, is extremely important to get you out there, to give people information. And then we have review sites such as Yelp, such as Google Business, such as OpenTable, that's a reservation. And so again, depending on your industry, we can tell you which channels to focus on and which channels are better for you. Now, not only your industry, but also your audience. Let's say you're in an industry that your audience are usually mostly younger Gen Zs or millennials. At that point, you might be using TikTok versus Facebook. So again, it's extremely important to understand the demographics and the users of each social media platform and deliver to them. So let's actually look at some of the most popular social media networks worldwide. So some of these are not US, some of them you might have not heard about them, but we're going to actually look into them. So Facebook is the oldest platform. It's been around for quite a while, and it has the highest amount of users. Now, you might be interested to know that Facebook owns WhatsApp, which is a messaging app, a chat app, Facebook Messenger, obviously, and Instagram. So they bought all of these and they own all of these three over here. Then YouTube. YouTube is a great channel, but you have to, again, understand that these are global users, not US-based users. That's why WhatsApp is such a huge percentage, because a lot of its users are in China, and Facebook is banned in China, so they use WhatsApp, even though WhatsApp is still owned by Facebook. The three most important ones that you have to focus on is going to be Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And we're going to talk about that later. So let's look at some demographics. The Facebook demographics is 77% of people ages 30 to 49 use Facebook. And of course, you guys are going to get this presentation after our call, so you can read it in detail. I'm just going to quickly go over these analytics. 51% of people ages 50 to 65 use Facebook. And again, these are global analytics, and 34% of people that are 65 plus use Facebook. The median is between, so basically with Facebook, with different social media platforms, we actually see different numbers. With Facebook, it's interesting because it's actually at 88%. The median of different households, we're looking at income now. Income of households under 30K that are making under 30K per year, and households that are making above $100,000 per year is actually the same thing. So we're seeing that the number of these households using Facebook is the same thing. Gender, 54% female, 46% male, and most people are on their phones when they're using Facebook. Now, why is this important? Because if you're putting out content on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, I mean, Instagram is mobile only when you post, but it has to be mobile friendly. It has to look good on our screen. And that's why it is extremely important that you know how people are using these different platforms. As a matter of fact, people are using 74% of people are visiting your websites right now using their cell phone. So if your website is not mobile friendly, if it doesn't look good on a phone, you need to rethink that strategy. Instagram, as you can see now, the percentages are different. Most of Instagram users are millennial, both older millennials and younger millennials and Gen Zs. As age goes higher, we see a lesser number of users on Instagram. So Instagram is great if you have a product or if you have a business that delivers to young millennials, to Gen Z. And let's remember that the oldest Gen Z now, it is 22 years old. So they are becoming our new consumers, and they're one of the generations that have been extremely ignored, extremely talked down about. So it's extremely important that now we understand how their thought processes are and focus on this new generation of consumers that is coming into the market. But that in itself is another lecture. With the income, we actually see different income levels on Instagram. So 44% of households with an annual income of less than 30K use Instagram. Then when we come to 60 to 70K, that number actually, so it goes high, it comes down, it goes back up. 36% of households with an annual income of 60 to 70K use Instagram. And then as the income comes higher, 60% of households with an annual income above $100,000 use Instagram. With the gender, 51% female, 49% male. And this is actually interesting to know. An estimated 71% of US-based businesses have an Instagram account. Now, are they really using and utilizing their Instagram account to the best? Not really, but at least they have it. And 83% of Instagram users say that they discover new products and services on Instagram. So these numbers are all for 2020. For 2021, I'm actually going to be very interested in looking at Instagram versus TikTok, because these algorithms are evolving every day and they're competing with one another. So that's going to be very interesting. Questions so far? I do see one question that's about LinkedIn that we're going to cover, but any other questions about different demographics, audiences, branding, or social media platforms? Okay, great. Now let's get to LinkedIn. That's where we're having this webinar. So with LinkedIn, 21% of people ages 18 to 24 are using LinkedIn. They're usually looking for jobs or internships. 60% of 25 to 34 are using LinkedIn. Those are professionals, CEOs, or they might be seeking other positions. 17% of people 35 to 54 use LinkedIn, and 3% of people that are 55 plus use LinkedIn. With the income, as you guys can see, as income comes higher, the amount of people using LinkedIn comes higher as well. 49% for 70 to 80, 50% for 80 to 100, and 100, 60% for 100. The stats are actually coming from Statistica. I will actually share those sources at the end of the meeting as well. With the gender, 43% of LinkedIn users are female and 57% of LinkedIn users are male. So this is the first time that we're actually seeing a different ratio. Usually females are more than males. And devices, 57% of LinkedIn devices are used by through their cell phones. Perfect. Okay, so what channels should I use? Well, it honestly depends on your audience. So based on the information I gave you, you guys should define your target audience and see what sources are you should be looking at. But to generalize, again, this is extremely general, and I don't know what each person has, what is each person's business, but based on our experience for consumer goods and products, basically any B2C business, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest are going to be great tools to use. Now, one exception that I have to mention is if you're a realtor, you're B2C, but also definitely use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn allows you to reach audiences that you wouldn't normally be able to reach on the mentioned channels. For professional services or mostly B2B services, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and LinkedIn is going to be your best friend, and we're going to look at why. So these are the channels that I recommend using, but of course, look into your target audience, and in the Q&A section, I would actually like to, if you have questions on this is my business, what channels I should be using, I can definitely help out. Okay, now let's get to LinkedIn profile. So now we're going further into LinkedIn. Let's actually look at LinkedIn profile. So there's an anatomy to LinkedIn profile. There are two different parts to LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a community of users, members, so to say, and organizations, companies. So at this point, I would actually like to take us to LinkedIn. If you guys don't have any questions about users versus LinkedIn pages, so I can actually show you better. Okay, I do see one more question. Perfect. Great question. One of the questions that was asked is, should we post on our business page or on our personal page when we are going to be posting on LinkedIn? And that's definitely something that we're going to cover right now. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for just a second so we can actually go to our LinkedIn page. Great. So for this presentation, I'm using Emily's LinkedIn. Emily is one of our staff over here, and she's our Chief Administrative Officer. So we're using her LinkedIn. So this is the first page that you're going to see when you log into LinkedIn. Now, one of the questions I was asked is, do I need a paid account to connect with LinkedIn members? The answer is no. You can actually use everything on LinkedIn for free. So there are different paid options for LinkedIn that today we're going to cover one of them, that is a Sales Navigator. That is great to reach different leads, for you to lead generate, for you to actually sell your products and services. It's a great tool to actually expand your business and find the people that you want to connect with to expand your business. But in general, you can actually connect with anyone on LinkedIn as long as they're in your network. So let's actually look at a LinkedIn profile and look at the anatomy of the LinkedIn profile. At this point, I'm going to come to Cheyenne's LinkedIn, and of course, we can go back to Emily's, and you guys in our Q&A, you can ask questions. But the first section to a LinkedIn profile is going to be the cover. The cover is basically a photo. It can be anything. It's nice if it's actually related to your business. My cover page is actually one of the photos that I took myself. So it really depends on what you want. But I definitely recommend adding a cover page. Having a cover page gives you more authority, gives you more credibility than not having a cover page. It tells people that you have put effort into your LinkedIn page. Now, a lot of the times that I'm going to be mentioning things, we're talking about human psychology. So that's because of my background, that's what I'm saying. It gives you more authority. So unconsciously, someone who's looking at this will give you more value versus someone who doesn't have a cover photo. In terms of your profile photo, research shows that it's best to actually look directly into the camera with a smile, and those tend to do much better. You guys have a higher connection rate when you do that. Have your full name over here. And of course, over here, this part is a short bio about you or what you do. You can put your title. We're actually going to look at two different profiles here. I'm going to look at Emily's and I'm going to look at Cheyenne's. We're going to explore these two. So Emily also has a photo. Cheyenne has a photo. Emily's photo is actually better than Cheyenne's because Cheyenne is a little pixelated. This photo is not as high quality as Emily's. Also, when we look at the profile pictures, both Cheyenne and Emily have a good profile picture. It's showing their profile. But something I would improve about this is I would make Emily's lighter, maybe with a lighter background. People are more responsive to lighter photos, and also add a smile. You're going to see something that you don't see on Emily and Cheyenne's. There's a little difference between the two. Can someone tell me what this difference is? And you guys should be looking here. In this section, actually, there's a lot of things that are different. I'm just going to tell you. It's this little mark over here. This IN, this means that this person has LinkedIn Premium. They're paying for their LinkedIn versus Cheyenne over here, she's not paying for her LinkedIn. Now, so let's look over here. Emily has her title and the company that she works in as her summary, versus Cheyenne is actually talking about what she does. Both of them are great. You have to see which one works best for you based on your audience, so we can definitely discuss this. Then we have your location. These sections are, the first one is the company you work with, your work at, and the second one is your education. You can include it or you can simply not include it. It's really what you want. So these are the main sections. Now we go into the about section. The about section is designed to tell your audience who you are and what is it that you do. So these about sections are both pretty good. Cheyenne's about is about the company, which I would like her about to be about her. Because if I want to learn more about the company, I can simply go to the company's page. But I want to learn who Cheyenne is. So with Emily's, this is actually a better example of an about section, because Emily is telling us who she is. So she speaks 2 languages. That's the first thing that we're going to pick up. She has experience in digital marketing, guerrilla marketing, communication. So this is more about Emily. You guys, again, this is the difference between a LinkedIn profile, a personal profile versus a company profile. The personal profile, it should be about you and how you tie in with the brand. The company profile, it's not about us anymore. It's all about the brand, which we're going to explore more. Okay. Then we have this section which is featured. I actually don't see a lot of people using this section, and we have to use it. On Cheyenne's, as you guys can see, we don't have features. So let's actually look at it one more time from the very top to the bottom. So as you can see, there are certain differences here. The reason is we're using Emily's profile. So this is how you should see your own profile. This is what you see on other people's profiles. So that's the difference over here that you're seeing. So obviously Cheyenne doesn't have features, but we have this section that says highlights. These are the mutual connections that you have, the things that you do. So if you comment on certain things, the highlight section is going to come out. And of course, it's going to show in your activity as well. With Emily, she has a feature, and then she has her activity. Again, if you comment, if you like a post, and then we come to experience. Okay, so this is actually a great example of a company that it has a LinkedIn profile and also it's connected to your personal profile versus companies that don't have LinkedIn profiles or haven't been connected in the right way to your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so let's look over here. Emily had 1 year and 1 month experience at Decathlon Creative, which is great. She started as an intern. So we read about all of her experience over here. Now I want to see, what is this company? What is Decathlon Creative? If I click on it, it's going to take me to the company's page. And we're going to actually view it as a member. Okay, so I hear that it is a little too small. So let's actually make this page a little bigger. Okay, hopefully this is better. Let me know if I need to make it any larger. Okay, so what we did right now, I'm going to backtrack. From Emily's page, we came back to our company page. So it was linked, and this is what we see at the company's page. It tells you the name of the company, tells you what the company does, a little about the company, how many followers you have, what people work there, and you can go to the homepage. You're going to read about the company. You're going to see a video if they have any videos. You're going to see different posts that they've made. You can even post about your job openings, and you can hire through LinkedIn. And I have to say this, LinkedIn is perfect if you're hiring for a professional, let's say an executive position, or if you're having any internships. Again, LinkedIn, it's a great place to post on, and it's a great place to get those applicants for yourself. Okay, so this is a company page. From Emily's LinkedIn, we came and I wanted to learn more about Decathlon, and I can do that. Now let's actually look at a company page that is not linked. So over here, Cheyenne says that she's the Chief Executive Officer of Bolt Bikini. If I click on this company, it's not going to give me anything. There's no information on Bolt Bikini. And that is a difference between someone who has a company page versus someone who does not have a company page. Okay, so that is the difference. Sometimes you might have a company page, but you didn't actually attach link the company page to what you have over here. So let me show you guys how you can do that, how we can add a company page to our LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to go back into our personal LinkedIn profile. Again, remember, we're using Emily's. And when it's your LinkedIn profile, you always have this pen. You can actually, if you want to edit a section, you can actually click on that. If you want to add a profile, add a section to your profile, as we talked about, like a featured section, you can just always click on add profile section, and it tells you what those sections are. As you can see, intro, she has an intro, about, she has an about, featured, so we can feature different posts, articles, links, different media, background. This is the experience, the work background. So as you can see, work experience, education, licenses. So let's say someone is an esthetician, someone is an expert in certain different things. They can add that. Volunteer experience, the skills, and people can endorse you on your skills. Why is it important to have skills? Why is it important to endorse each other's skills? Because that gives you credibility. It tells people that you're an expert in your field, and that is something important. Accomplishments, any additional information, supported languages. Your LinkedIn profile can mean 2 different languages, or 3 or 4. So these are the sections that you can add. Okay, but let's actually go back into adding a company. So when you click on plus, and asks you, so this is, we're adding work experience and we want to link our company. Now, let's say you already have your work experience, but you don't have the company that you work for. So of course your title, let's actually just put CEO, and it gives you different options as well. Employment type, you don't have to put that in, but company. So I can say, let's look at a difference between a company that has a page versus a company who doesn't have a page. So I want to say both bikini. As you can see, nothing is coming up. That means the company does not exist. Now I'm going to type our company's name. And that's how you link your company page to your LinkedIn page. If you don't have a company page, then we have to make a company page, and we're going to quickly touch on that. So as you can see now, my page is linked, and this is how you know it's linked, because your page comes up, it pops up. Let's actually try Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. There it is. So Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce also has a company page, which is great. But this is basically how you fill it out. You tell them how many months you've been working at this company and all those other fun details, and you save it. Of course, for this one, we're not going to be saving it. Now, that is if you have a company page and it's not linked. It's always good to link them. And we're actually, when we go into searches, we're going to see why it's important to link. If you don't have a company page, in the very top bar, even when you go to your home, doesn't matter, the top bar stays the same. You can click on work, and you can open a company page. As you see, you scroll down and you create a company page. And it's going to ask you about your business, you fill in the information, and you have a company page. And after you add your company page here, after you create it, you can go back to your profile and link all of them together. Now, a great question that was asked is, should you post on your business page or on your profile? So that's a great question. I always recommend, depends on what content you're posting. Is the content more of a personal matter? Is it an interesting article? Then at that point, I would say definitely share it on your personal page. Now, is it an interesting article that's also going to be interesting for the audience of your business? Are the members of your business going to benefit from that? Then post it on your business page. When it comes to updates, we want to make sure that we keep our business. By the way, when you make a business page, this is where you can manage it on your homepage on the left side. But when it comes to content, we want to make sure that we post consistent content that is relatable, that is related to our business and to our audience. And then you can actually share it from your page to your personal page. That way, you're actually showing your business page to your audience and to your own connections. So, and I want to show you guys what I mean by that, really. So over here, as you can see, our page had 152 followers. Emily herself has 1,521 followers, meaning when Emily posts, it goes out to 1,521 people. But when the company posts, it goes out to 152 people. So if Emily comes, and we can pick any post, and if Emily shares this post, which has been posted to our company, to her own personal page, that way we're promoting the company and we're also promoting the post. Does that answer the question? Great, I think it answered the question. Awesome. Okay, so any questions so far about LinkedIn? Let's actually review everything together. So this is your home page. LinkedIn is a great way to connect with other people who are in your profession, and your profile is a way to showcase who you are. Your company profile is a way to actually showcase who. Yes, you guys will get the presentation. And your LinkedIn profile, your company profile is a way to showcase your company. So your personal profile should be about you, your experience, you as the owner, you as the leader. It's a tool to build credibility for who you are and why people should trust you. Because as you remember, in the very beginning, we said businesses in a brand, we have 3 Ws: what, who, and why. Who do you sell to? And then from your audience, it's extremely important, who are you? Why should I buy from you? And that's where we actually build this credibility. I'm going to check our chat really quick, making sure that everything's good. That's a great question. It really depends on what do you do and what field you're in. I think your resume and LinkedIn should look pretty similar. That's what I would say. Because there's a difference between a resume and a CV. A CV, a curriculum vitae, can be hundreds, not hundreds of pages, hopefully, but it can be a few pages. It can be 3 to 5 pages, sometimes 10 pages, especially if you're in academia. But your LinkedIn, this is something that this is your resume. This is your professional resume. And your resume, usually we say resume should be 1 page. The same thing it goes about LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is actually a great thing to put in your resumes. But over here, we're actually looking at my profile. As I said, the cover page is a photo that I took and I like. You have your name, you have your photo, where you studied, and then a little about you. So if I could just say CEO at Decathlon on Creative, but we wanted to say more of who you are. And of course, the contact info, this is the information that you put out there for people to access. You're going to see why this is important. We're going to go into it later. So this is Emily. Again, we're looking from Emily's views at my about. So there's a short about. Again, your about the first sentence always should tell them who you are. It should give them an essence of who you are. And later you can go into more personal things that they wouldn't know. We have the featured section. You have the different articles that are here. Then my activity, what I've done on LinkedIn, who I've interacted with, and then my experience. So let's actually, hopefully this is going to answer that question with my experience. This is pretty similar to my resume. The only difference is we're not putting bullet points here. We're really telling a story, because this is how you sell yourself. So, or at this point with UNICEF, not only I told the story, I actually included my research, your education, your certificates, the charity experience, your volunteer experience, your skills, people can endorse it, the languages you speak, the organization you work with, and your interests. I see another chat coming up. Yes, I can go further into setting up a business page for sure. Does a navigator help me get business? Yes, we're going to go into that. The sales navigator does help you to get business. Okay, perfect. So let's actually look at a company. How do you set up a company business page? Again, you log into your LinkedIn. That's step 1. Step 2, on the top bar, on this bar over here, as you guys can see, you click on work. You scroll down. The last thing on that little sidebar should be create a company page. Click on create a company page. Depending on who your company is, are you a small business, medium business, educational institute? A showcase page basically is when you have a company, you build a showcase page. You don't have to, I actually don't recommend it, to show some highlights. It's actually confusing if you haven't been using LinkedIn a lot. So this is not a route I would suggest you guys go. But most of us, at least to my knowledge, we have less than 200 employees. So we click here. And then we just fill out the information over here. What is the name of your business? What do you want the LinkedIn URL to be? I usually recommend the URL of your company. So our company is www.decathlon.creative.com. So our LinkedIn is linkedin.company-company. I'm sorry, linkedin.com-company, and then another slash, and you're going to have Decathlon Creative, or whatever the name of your company is. And what is your website? So you type your website, what industry you're in. You fill all this information out. It is pretty self-explanatory, but if there are certain specific questions about how to set this up, we can talk about it in our Q&A. Okay. So now let's go into LinkedIn Premium, specifically the Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is $80 per month. If you want to get it for a year, it actually comes down to a cheaper amount. You can actually get it for anywhere between $60 to $70, but you have to pay all upfront annually. If you want to get it month to month, you have to pay $80 per month. And how you can get the Sales Navigator is you click on me, and you can go to your settings, or basically if you click on work, again, a great way is it tells you how you want to get that. So since this profile already has Sales Navigator, I can't show you guys how to get it, but if you have questions, I can send you guys on how to do and how to get a Sales Navigator. We can definitely do that. But let's say you have a Sales Navigator. Let's now assume that you already got the Sales Navigator. You looked at who your audience is. You think your audience is on LinkedIn. And a question that was asked is, does LinkedIn Sales Navigator help me get business? The question I would have for you is, what is your business? What is your industry? Who is your audience? So that's one of the most important questions that I would have over here. But yes, in general, based on your business, based on your audience, you can get business from Sales Navigator. But it's definitely an investment, so you have to see what is your ROI, if you can get anything out of it. Okay, this is your homepage for Sales Navigator. How do we get to Sales Navigator? From our home, we simply went on Sales Navigator. We clicked here. Here is Sales Navigator. Now, what is Sales Navigator? Sales Navigator is a fancy searching tool. Yes, you can make multiple pages on LinkedIn, just like you can do it on Facebook. The question I would ask is, why would you do that? Unless you have different businesses, like let's say you have a business for real estate, you have a business for clothes. And today, guys, as you can see, I'm fixated on real estate, so hopefully there are some realtors here. Whatever, if you have different businesses, absolutely you can do that. If you only have one business, I don't recommend building multiple business pages. I recommend having one business page, and maybe you can build a showcase to show as, you know, a certain project or a certain highlight on that showcase. But again, you can just do all of that on that one page. Okay, so back to Sales Navigator. And at this point, I think I'm going to pause on questions that don't necessarily relate to Sales Navigator and answer those questions at the end of our session with the Q&A, because there's a lot in Sales Navigator that we have to go into. Let's actually make our screen a little larger as well, so everyone can see. So unfortunately, this is as big as the screen gets. I apologize. This meeting is recorded, so you guys can actually get the recording, zoom in at some point and look at the things that we're going over if this is not clear. And I do apologize for that, but this is as big as my screen is. Oh, there we go. It worked. Now we have it bigger. Perfect. Now it's too big. That should go back a little. Perfect. Okay. Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is basically a fancy search engine. So it helps us find leads, find people who are going to help our business in an easy way. So we're actually going to look at how we do this. So the first thing you want to do on Sales Navigator is let's pick an industry. Whoever in the chat tells me what their industry is and who they're looking for, that person is going to get this search. So I'm going to wait for you guys to give me an industry. The first person I see, that person is going to be the one who we are going to preschool. Okay, so what are you looking in preschool? Are you looking for preschool teachers? Are you selling to preschool? What are we doing here? Now, we have to remember, if you guys are looking at hiring, we don't want to use Sales Navigator. There's a completely separate tool. Okay, so you want to look at parents to join preschool. LinkedIn is not the place to look for that. LinkedIn is a very great tool for B2B. I definitely suggest you use Instagram and you use Facebook, mostly Facebook. Again, looking at Facebook's demographics, you're more likely to actually reach parents on Facebook. Definitely use groups on Facebook. There's a lot of mom groups, there's a lot of parents groups. So that's the place to go. And you can actually use Facebook to advertise, but LinkedIn is not something I would recommend for a preschool unless you let's say you're a business that you sell to preschools and you want to reach the owners of these preschools. That's when you would use LinkedIn. But if you want to actually talk to the parents, that's more of a B2C. So I would definitely recommend Facebook. Let's go with another industry. Ooh, I have the questions too. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat box. Interior design. Okay, design was the first one. So Yvonne, I'm going to go with yours. Trade professionals, interior designer. Okay, great. So can you tell me what are we doing with these designers? What are we want to reach on our designers? And we have a chat box going too. So I'm actually going to close the chat. I'm just going to look at our Q&A section. Okay, so I would love to understand what is it that we're doing with the interior designers, but actually let's go with interior designers. So I'm just going to paste interior designers over here. So I'm going to search for interior designers and I'm going to say go. At this point, LinkedIn is going to give me more than 1 million results of interior designers around the world, anyone with interior design experience in their profile. Because again, we have to remember that LinkedIn is a search engine. Search engines are not humans. With AI, they're actually becoming better, but they look for keywords. So we have to exclude and include certain keywords to get to our audience. So we want to look at interior designers, and that's why we're actually going to, so geographically, we can target them. So I want to say interior designers in California. Let's actually first see California itself. Okay, so now let's look at that number. So it was 1 million because LinkedIn has billions of users around the world. So now at this point, it's going to tell me we have 56,000 interior designers just in California. So we can actually filter it a bit more, and I can say Orange County. Perfect. And that number is now 5.5. So as you guys see, as I'm going to add filters, these numbers are going to go down. That's a good thing. We want to reach a very defined audience. The more defined your audience is, the more likely they're going to receive your message, the more likely they're going to connect with you. But if we have a broader audience, it's not going to work. We want to basically refine and define our message. So let me just take this. Okay, great, thank you. So we want to talk to interior designers. We're selling custom cabinets, and we want these interior designers to put these custom cabinets in their in the homes that they're staging, in the homes that they're designing. Relationship. Okay, so what is relationship? Relationship, basically, we have 3 different degrees. First degree connections are the people that are already connected to you. So these are people that are already in your network. Second degree connections are people that you have a mutual connection with. So I know Annette, but I'm not connected to Steve. Steve will be my second degree connection. Once I add Steve and he accepts my invitation, he's going to be a first degree. A third degree is a person that you don't have any mutual connections with. Now, based on your profile's authority, and I'm going to use this word a lot, that means how much pull does your profile have? How much weight does it have? And the more connections we have, the more content we post, the more we interact with the algorithm, the more authority our profile has. So sometimes if someone's outside of your network, if you don't have any people like that person or any people that know that person, or if that person is outside of your industry, it's unlikely for you to be able to add them. LinkedIn Premium Sales Navigator gives you the ability that no matter where they are on your network, no matter if they're third degree or second or first, you can actually add and interact with them. So that's the benefit, one of the benefits of the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So I don't want to look at the first degree connections because these are the people that are already connected with me. I want to look at my second degree and third degree connections. And group members, these are the people that are in your group and actually match the search. At this point, I don't want to look at that. Okay, we're going to actually get to this question in our Q&A. Let's actually go to company. So in every city, in every region, when we actually say, I want to look at graphic designers in A, B, and C, and in this city with these specifications, it's going to bring up the companies that are the main employers of these interior designers, of the realtors, whatever that is. It's going to bring up these companies. So let's say we actually want to talk to interior designers that work specifically for CDC design. We can select CDC design, or you can actually even include CDC designs. Let's say you don't want to work with people who work for CDC design, you exclude it. If you want to include, you press on this button. If you want to exclude, you press on this. If you don't care, then you don't have to select it. And you can even say if they're currently working at CDC, if their past was at CDC, or if their past or current, doesn't matter. If they're past with that CDC, now I don't care where they work. Again, it gives you those options. Industry. Industry is tricky. Industry, because we make our own profiles and we actually put what our industry is. Industry can be, it's a two-edged sword. It can actually help you if people actually specify their industry correctly, but it can also hurt you. You might not see some leads because some people just misclassify themselves in their industry. Some people don't say they're in the right industry and it's harder to reach them. So just be aware of that. I usually recommend exclude the industries you definitely do not want. So let's say you're a construction company yourself and you don't want to talk to other people in construction. At that point, I would exclude the construction industry. Or for us, if we're marketing and PR company, we're going to exclude marketing and PR because we don't want to talk to more people in marketing and PR. We want to talk to our customers. So that's how you can use this to your advantage. So with the industry, just be aware of it. Exclude things that just don't make sense for you. Company headcount. So the company headcount is a great tool. I definitely recommend you guys use it. The company headcount tells you how many people are employed at the company, and that gives you an idea of what their income is. And how big or large the business is, your audience is. So it really comes down to your audience. Depending on what you do, usually you're not going to go anywhere near these companies because these are larger companies. But again, it really depends on what you do. So I can't give you anything, especially with this example. If we're selling cabinets, we can, and we want these interior designers to work for us to actually buy our cabinets. It can be any company. So I'm not going to really exclude any, but I'm going to show you guys how it works. So let's say we want to talk to a medium-sized company that has anywhere between 11 to 50 employees. Well, you add that. Or if you actually want to talk to a bigger company, you simply add it. And let's come back to our numbers. So our number was 5.5K. Now it's 777. Seniority level, who these people are, what level of seniority they have. Again, just like industry, sometimes LinkedIn misqualifies these people or they misclassify themselves. So you don't have to really use this, but this is something I like to use. The function is what is their function within the company. That is the same thing goes for it. So if they have misclassified themselves or if their title, LinkedIn thinks your title is in business development, but you thought your title meant that you're going to be in project management, you're not going to come up. So that's why I don't usually use this part. Unless you want to exclude people, this is a great tool to actually exclude certain people or certain functions. Okay. And then this is my favorite part, title. LinkedIn gives you the ability, let's say we want to work with interior designers and we're using the traditional ways. We're calling their office. The person who's going to pick up the phone is probably not going to be the CEO. It's probably going to be a gatekeeper. It's going to be a secretary, maybe an employee. So this is a great way to actually directly reach out to the business owners. So for the title, I'm going to say, I want to talk to the CEO. I want to talk to the VP. And the VP. And then you can say what people you don't want to talk to. You don't want to talk to their sales specialist. So this is a great tool to actually reach the people who actually have decision-making power. It's going to make your sales cycle much, much easier and much smaller. So now we're looking at people, interior designers that have a company that the company is anywhere between 11 to 50 people. In Orange County, we have 18. There are 18 interior design companies and these are their CEOs. Actually, they're not 18 companies, they're 18 people. Now let's actually remove some of these filters so I can show you guys some other great tools that are here. Okay, so what I removed was the company. So I just removed the company headcount. At this point, I'm looking for, let's actually see what this means. For interior designers in Orange County that are not connected to me, they're second and third degree, and their title is Chief Executive Officer or Vice President. So this basically means that these people are going to have their own companies. Now, if I want to just talk to freelance people, that's extremely easy. You just go to company headcount and you click on self-employed. And now this number is much higher. As you guys can see now, we have 115 people. Or I can just completely remove this part. And that way you talk to everyone. That's too broad for me though. So I definitely recommend lowering your search results. Okay, so you see some stats over here. So 5.5K total of the people that are interior designers. 101 of these people change jobs in the past 90 days. That's a good indicator of what they're doing, how often they've been in this current job. Then 323 people posted on LinkedIn in the past 30 days. So now let's say I'm a salesperson who wants to target these interior designers. What list would I start on? Would I start off of this 5.5K? No, this is the places I would start. Number one, the people who share an experience with me. I'm going to talk to these people. And the good thing about Sales Navigator, it tells you what that sales, what is that shared experience. So over here, it says both belong to the business development, the missing link between marketing and whatever. So it's a group. So we basically are the same group. This one, both belong to the business. So we're actually, all of them are in a group. But it tells you what that shared link is. And it's extremely easier to start a conversation saying, hey, I see that you go to UCI. I actually went to UCI. And that way your connection is more natural. One of the most important things you have to remember in a digital world that we do everything through computers, even though professionalism is important and I understand professionalism, is people are tired of fluff. People are tired of robots. There's so many different robots on the background. LinkedIn, actually, a lot of times you're getting messages from robots on LinkedIn and LinkedIn automation. So it's extremely important that you show them that you're a human. And it's extremely important to show that you have done your research and you've added them with a purpose. I understand that this takes time, and I understand that you're going to be able to add less people versus if you just click, 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 click. But those people are going to be good leads. So it's very basically quantity versus quality. If you want a better quality, your quantity might go down, but these are people that are more responsive to you and everything that you are doing. I'm just checking the Q&A. Nothing as of right now. Great. So this is the first part that I'm going to start adding these people. Now, if I want to add these people, you can simply click on connect. And it tells you to write an invitation message. Now, what is an invitation message? On LinkedIn, a lot of the times when we get messages, let's actually look at an example of invitation message. Over here, we don't have any invitations. They're mostly page invitations, but let's actually see it. Okay, so this is what an invitation message looks like. So over here, this person messaged Emily and said, hi, Emily, this is my name. I'm an enthusiast. So basically it tells you who that person is and why they added you. There we go. Just came across your profile and wanted to share something, something you as the senior executive might be interested. So again, not the best message, honestly, but it's a message. So that is the connection message. This is how it will show up on the person's page that you're sending this message to. A lot of people don't have messages. So as you can see, this person, Josh, he didn't send us a message. He just wanted to add us, or same with all these people. If there's a message, you're always going to see that box over there, just like over here with Arthur. And Arthur, he had a message for us and he's telling us why he's contacting us. Your message should be specific yet general. You don't want to say, hey, I want to, it shouldn't come off as salesy. It should be genuine. It should be something, you should tell them something about them. Hey, Arthur, I loved that you posted about this. Let's connect. And once you connect at that point, you can pitch them. So there's a whole process to it. There are different steps that we take. But let's go back to our Sales Navigator. So this is what you type a message and you send the invitation. As you can see over here, we have this little box that says save as lead. What is that? And guys, I know this is a lot of information and there are a lot of different parts. You're gonna get very good at it with practice. And you know, there are always experts like us that we can help you out with it. So I know it's a lot, but you're going to get a recording of this call. So let's talk about lists. It's saved. So, and also let's say we really like this. So let's actually start from here. So we found the people that we want to talk to. We find 5.5K people that we want to talk to. They really fit our industry. They fit the people that we want to connect with. And we want to start adding them. So this is what I would do. I would select these people and I would save them to a list. Why a list? Why not just add them here? You can totally add them here. But if you actually save them to a list, that gives you the ability to manage who you added, why did you add it. So it gives you a lot of cool features that you don't have just on your search. So let's actually go ahead and look at that. But before we do so, you can save your search. So let's say we like this search and we don't want to do everything we did here again. You can save your search. We already have 15 searches here, so we can actually look at our searches and it just asks you for a name and a brief description. This is what your saved searches are going to look like. Over here, we have our saved searches, like over here. Let's look at this one. CEOs in beauty, they're East Coast, and they have 1 to 10 that's their head count. And we have 62 results on it. So as you can see, this is an extremely defined search. We excluded a lot of industries. We know we want only 1 to 10. So I rather have very, very defined searches, and later we can always expand. And let's actually look at the geography too. The geography that we're looking at is Chicago, Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, New York. So this all East Coast. So once we have these people, once you have your search, you can select them and you can save them to a list. You can create as many lists as you want, but your saved searches, you can have 15, a maximum of 15 searches. Once you're done with everyone on that search, you can delete it and add another one. Now a list, as you can see, over here, there are a lot of lists. You can simply create a lead list for yourself. It asks you to give it a name and a description of who are these people that are being added. And that way you can actually work off of your list. So let's go back to our list. And let's actually go to, for example, Angela's list. Okay, so now it's giving you all these stats again, total people that have been added. And I'm actually going to sort this list by the outreach activity so you guys can see what does it look like and how does this whole thing look like. So let's go to the very last page because that's when the people that we already worked on are going to be. Okay, so as you can see, this is our list now. So first we did a search, we liked our search, so we saved our search. Then we selected the leads that we wanted to work on, the leads that we want to connect, we want to sell to, we want to pitch to. We add them to our list. And once we add them to our list, at this point, we can go ahead and connect with them. So there are certain metrics over here. There are certain things that you can do. So number one, again, from that search list to your lead list, it tells you what people posted on LinkedIn in the past 30 days. I suggest starting with the people that share an experience with you. After you're done with those people, go to the people who have posted on LinkedIn for the past 30 days. The reason for that is it shows that these people are active on LinkedIn. And once you have these people, you can simply send them a connection message. You can click over here, you can connect with them. Or if you've already connected, it tells you who connected with them. You can put in notes and why did you send a connection request. And over here, it says invitation send. I can see that the invitation was sent 2 weeks ago. Okay, at this point, we are going over time, so I don't want us to go over time. Again, there's a lot to cover, and based on your questions, we can definitely go further in depth and we can have another session. But let's start with the Q&A. Let's actually ask some questions and see what we have. Great question. So one of the things that on LinkedIn, the reason it shows you different jobs is because LinkedIn is a great tool to find jobs. Maybe what you have on your LinkedIn is saying that you are open to jobs. So you just want to check your profile and make sure that I am open to jobs is not clicked. It's not checked basically. And I can show you guys how you can do that. So that's an easy thing. But that's the reason it shows you because there are a lot of recruiters and a lot of people hire from LinkedIn.
I'm back.
I think we scared them off, Steve. No one's had
Well, we still have a few people there, just not a lot of questions, but it was a lot of information, really wasn't a fire hose. And so we will be putting, we have been recording this and we'll send it out to everybody. If you had to pick like the top 2 things to do on LinkedIn, what would you say those would be?
Top 2 things to do on LinkedIn. I would say connect, make sure your connection is over 500 people because LinkedIn gives you more authority. You can actually do more things if you have more than 500 people in your network. And the second thing is be active. Don't be afraid to message people. Sometimes, you're going to message people, you're going to make mistakes. Be human, be open to connections, especially now that we don't have in-person mixers. And as they open up, again, they're not going to be the same. I think it's extremely important to actually be active on LinkedIn and add different people to your LinkedIn. And even if you don't have a paid account, you can still add people, which I think that's something important that we should cover.
Actually, so let me ask you a follow-up though on that, because I actually struggle with this all the time. I get lots of LinkedIn requests. I probably have about 2,400 connections on LinkedIn, but I don't accept them all. Should you be, weeding people out or just take everybody who comes?
I definitely recommend weeding people out because if they're just sitting there, what is the purpose of that, right? So they should be people who are related to your industry, or you want to connect with them, or if there's something interesting. I don't want to clog my LinkedIn. I don't want hundreds of people that have nothing to do with me there. So I actually do the same. I definitely weed people out, and I don't
Is there a
suggest adding
downside?
anyone.
Is there a downside though to having those? I mean, I do the same thing like you do. I mean, if they're not
Not
in
really.
Orange
No,
County or not business related, or somehow I thought that they could, maybe benefit from some of our programs, I just don't. I mean, if it's some guy in Saudi Arabia that, that's probably not going to
absolutely.
work for us.
Yeah, totally. And there's no downside to that. Absolutely not. Again, this is your profile. You're in charge of it, and you can be as selective as you want about who you want to add to your network.
Mhm. Okay. We have a question there. Oh, contact info. Maybe you can type that into the chat for them.
Absolutely. The contact info, I actually had a slide with the contact info, but I'm going to send it to everyone here in the chat section.
There we go. So everybody can pick that up in the chat there.
And I can actually give everyone my LinkedIn
or you
link
can
as
connect
well.
with them through LinkedIn, probably.
Exactly. You can definitely connect with me through LinkedIn. There we go. So here is my LinkedIn as well, and you guys can definitely.
And then maybe I'll follow up again on your second recommendation. So the posting, or articles or comments, or are there ways to get more people to view your stuff, or to sometimes, and I forget if it's LinkedIn or not, but to mention, like hashtags, for instance, should you be adding hashtags to your
Hashtags
post?
can definitely be used, absolutely. Hashtags are a great way to get your posts out there in different forums. There's always, so we have to remember with getting things out there and showing things to people, there's an organic way, which means you simply post it, and with hashtags, you can, to get it out there, seen by more people, you can share it to more people, you can ask your employees to interact with your content, and if they like it more, the more interaction, the more people are going to see your content. Or you can simply advertise, which advertisement on LinkedIn is extremely expensive. And unless you know what your ROI is going to be and what is your cost per lead, I don't really recommend advertising on LinkedIn because it can be extremely expensive, as much as $90 per lead. But if you pay $90 per lead and that lead is a good lead and you're going to get 5,000 out of it, by all means, that's a great investment.
There's another question in the chat there. Maybe you want to cover that one.
Yes. So how do I get Orange County instead of my city listed as my location? So let me actually show you guys that. LinkedIn has been pretty weird about it, not gonna lie. So LinkedIn actually doesn't like it when people are putting Orange County instead of their city. So my profile, because it's an older profile right now, it actually doesn't have my city. But one of the things we can actually do is you go to your profile. There's a pen over here. We want to edit our profile basically. Has the name. And over here, location within this area. So this is the part that you would change it. And so over here, we're going to try to change this. Let's see actually if we can do it or not. Over here, we can actually type in orange. Okay, I guess we can't do that anymore. So that used to be something that we used to be able to do, and now we can't. The reason that you see Orange County on my profile is because it's an older profile, so newer profiles are actually not letting you do that. And if you want to edit it, it has to be your city. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
but it's not something that can be used against you. That's something important that I have to say. LinkedIn is an extremely secure network.
Great. Well, we're probably about out of time. I do want to thank you for presenting all this information today, and I'm sure if anybody wants to get in touch with you, thinks of a question after we're done, you'll be more than happy to respond and work with them if maybe they need help with their company. I assume you're taking on new clients.
We are taking on new clients, and we can definitely help you with LinkedIn and different strategies. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, that's all for our presentation today. Certainly, we thank you for the people who registered and showed up to watch the presentation. We have a lot of great programming coming up in the next month or 2 months, and I'm sure down the line as we engage new speakers and for our different programming. And you can find all of that at our website on the event page at newportbeach.com. Again, thanks to Annette for bringing you to us, and you as well as the owner of the company for joining the chamber. We hope to teach you a few things as well.
I can't wait to learn, and I can't wait to meet everyone. And thank you so much for this opportunity. It was great.
Okay, well, thank you all, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.